It's another wild day in the world of Magic the Gathering. We have just been given a bunch of Magic Foundation spoilers. And guess what? Planeswalkers are back on the menu. On top of that, there are some considerable problems with Duskmourn that we need to discuss as well.
Magic. I am a wizard! History. I'm an old wizard! The Magic Historian. My bones hurt.
Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, my friends. I hope the day finds you well because we have gathered for another fun installment of Mega Magic News. We've got Foundation spoilers. We've got Foundation's teasers. We've got the Duskmourn situation to talk about as well. Before we do that, just want to let you know something I'm super excited about, and that is my movie review channel. We have just put out a new video over there, and I would love it if you want to check the channel out, subscribe, and watch some of the movie review goodness. So I will leave a link to that down in the description and in the pinned comment. Also want to mention, I'm going to be doing a wacky, fun live stream later today as well. I'll cover more details about that at the end of the video because I want to dive into the foundations. Let's start by looking at this. This is a Johnny Caller of the Pride. Like I said, Planeswalkers are back on the menu. So we're going to get our first real glimpse into what Wizards of the Coast is considering for this set in terms of showing beginners what Planeswalkers are and the concepts behind the different colors of Magic, because Foundations is meant to be a beginner set. And the cards that they've chosen ultimately seem like great choices to me. A Johnny Call of the Pride is 2 white and 1 for a 4 loyalty Planeswalker. +1, put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature. -3 loyalty, target creature gains flying and double strike until end of turn. And -8, create X 2/2 white cat creature tokens where X is your life total. So this clearly introduces the concept of, yo, white really enjoys life gain. And ultimately, this is just a feel-good Planeswalker. It's all bonus town with absolutely no downsides. You get to beef up your creatures, you get to make them flying and come in hard with the double strike action. Admittedly, -3 loyalty for that does feel like a big cost, right? I've never felt too hot about that part of a Johnny's abilities, but the -8 to make a big fat army that rewards you for gaining life is super solid. And speaking of big fat, look at Johnny's big fat torso. He looks so beefy. I love the vista behind him. The artwork is great. It is hilarious to me though that his little braids hair there, it does actually look like he's wearing a hood. So that kind of makes me chuckle. But otherwise, this is a great choice. Now, let's move on to the next Planeswalker, Liliana Dreadhorde General. If you've never played against this card, let me tell you right now, it is super obnoxious to deal with. So it's 2 black and 4, has the built-in ability whenever a creature you control dies, draw a card, which is so solid, and then +1 loyalty, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token, -4 loyalty, each player sacrifices 2 creatures of their choice, and this goes very, very well with that first ability. Actually, it all ties together great. You can make zombie tokens, they get sacked to the second ability, and then you get to draw cards for them, or you can straight up cast her, -4 her right away when you have no creatures, and your opponents are going to lose 2 creatures. And in terms of commander, this hits everybody, not just one opponent. And then the ultimate ability is each opponent chooses a permanent they control of each permanent type and sacrifices the rest. So this introduces a number of concepts that Black is big on. First of all, when you get to draw cards off of creatures dying, so it's like, yo, I get rewarded when creatures hit the graveyard. On top of that, it introduces the zombie concept and the whole sacrificing for your own gain. The sacking your own creatures, but realizing, wait a minute, I get to draw off of those. And then the fact that Black is good at making your opponent sacrifice permanents too. And then the artwork on this is amazing. Liliana is back in true form at the head of a gigantic zombie army. Forget the days of Strixhaven where she's all melancholy. Gideon, why did you give up your life for me? Ooh, right? I don't really like that vibe that they gave Liliana. I like it better when she is an unrepentant master of the undead. And here she has the chain veil. So I was right in that previous video. Tiny Bones totally was swiping the chain veil from her. But look at that endless army of the undead behind her. Think about the contrast to what we just saw with the verdant fields behind Ajani, or the verdant forests, not fields, right? So I love the contrast between the white and the black cards here, and Liliana looks absolutely imposing. Super fantastic. Moving on, we've got Vivian Reed, and this is one of my favorite versions of her. 2 green and 3. She has +1. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature or land card from among them, put it into your hand, and then you put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. -3, destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying. And -8, you get an emblem with creatures you control, get +2/+2, and have vigilance, trample, and indestructible. This is fantastic on a number of levels. Does a great job of introducing different green concepts. The first is that green can really easily get you creatures and lands. The second is that green is good at destroying artifacts, enchantments, and taking out flyers, because honestly, green is the color that gets the least flying creatures, so it has the most flying hate. And then the emblem is just that ultimate feels good deep in your guts to have a gigantic squad. Basically, it doesn't matter. If you have one guy, he's almost an army by himself, because he's got +2/+2, vigilance, trample, and indestructible. So you get to swing in with your guys every turn, smash over your opponent's creatures. They can't be taken out because they're indestructible, and they're ready on the defense. It feels so insurmountable and so rewarding, right? And it only takes 3 turns of activating her first ability to get up to that 8 loyalty. I also really dig the artwork. Vivian, here she has the arc bow, which basically summons spirit beasts. So you can see that spirit bow behind her. Vivian, this is one of the nicest artworks they've actually given her. Sometimes she has kind of a rough look to her, but she's looking quite beautiful here. And I love the snowy pine trees behind her. So this is absolutely fantastic. Now that wraps up the actual spoiler cards we have to look at, but Rosewater released the teaser list, which gives us different aspects of the set to be excited about. So we're going to dive in. Now understand, these are just portions of cards, not cards in their entirety. So, things we can expect in the set. The 5 iconic creatures show up on multiple cards. So by that, he means the 5 iconic creature types. You can try and guess in your head what the iconic types are for each color. It's more obvious for certain colors. Red, it's dragons, right? White, angels. Black, demons. Green, hydras. And blue, sphinxes. I feel like green and blue are where people are mostly going to get tripped up. And it's been a while since we've really even heard references to the iconic creature types. They leaned heavily on that idea for iconic masters, but that was about 6 years ago, right? So that was a considerable amount of time. So we're going to see multiple iterations of each of those creature types. And I mean, ultimately, I'll be real. I don't really care about sphinxes, but I feel like the other creature types are genuinely exciting, right? Then we've got 2 monocolored reprints, each of a different color, that together you win the game. There's a bunch of different cards that these could be. So if you've got ideas on what you think the 2 monocolored cards are that when you put them together you win, let me know in the comments. All right, then we've got some creature tokens in the set. 1/1 White Rabbit, 2/1 Blue Ninja. We know Kaido is going to be part of this set, so obviously the 2/1 Ninja tokens are probably going to tie into Kaido somehow. 3/3 Green Raccoon. Now this is a bit of a departure, right? Raccoon is a creature type that we really didn't see in Magic that much until, if I'm not mistaken, Streets of New Capenna kind of elevated raccoons to a new level in Magic. And a 3/3 raccoon is actually kind of insane, because if you look at the stats, when it comes down to like a regular human, they're 1-1 or maybe 2-1, 2-2, right? 3-3 is generally the realm of a very large bear or an elephant. So we're thinking like elephant-sized raccoon. It might actually be there might be other cards that reference Vivian. So it might be some kind of spirit raccoon that gets summoned up with their bow. Then we've got a 4-4 red dragon token. I mean, there's tons of cards that make dragon tokens, which are super satisfying. And a copy that's a nightmare. And there's another line in here where when we get to it, it's going to reference nightmares as well. So we'll discuss what that might actually be. Next up, a character from one of our most popular online Magic stories returns. Please be Davriel. Brandon Sanderson, the guy who was responsible for the Mistborn series, finishing the Wheel of Time series, that guy literally wrote a Magic the Gathering story that was quite engaging. And Davriel was the new planeswalker that he introduced in that world. So I would absolutely love for that to be him, right? It could be somebody like Alessia as well, because there's a number of different options, but those are the two most likely candidates as far as I'm concerned. After that, we've got an 8/12 creature with Ward 4. There's something in my brain that says just a big fat colorless construct golem. I could be absolutely wrong about that, but that's just what my gut says. It's probably an artifact creature. If not, then it's probably going to be a white creature, right? With the higher toughness than the power, it just kind of says that to me. After that, we've got something that's going to be bonkers. A creature with 7 evergreen keywords. So it literally has 7 different abilities. We're getting into questing beast levels of insanity. And if you don't know what evergreen means, evergreen are abilities that they use constantly. Flying, first strike, trample, death touch. That's only 4 abilities. And there's like, if they put those 4 on, then it could be 3 more. Although I doubt they're going to have first strike, trample, and death touch all together, because that's super dirty. But who knows? That is very curious to me. And my gut says green creature. My gut says green creature with 7 keywords, with some ridiculous casting cost like 6 green mana or something crazy like that. Because remember, this set is probably going to be a little less powerful than most Magic sets. We're looking at something that's aiming to be a little less complex and more for beginners. But adding 7 keywords, that's so crazy. After that, we've got a Magic Invitational Winners card gets reprinted, and no, it's not the most powerful one. So, the most powerful invitation cards, depending on how you look at it, are either Dark Confidant or Snapcaster Mage. If you don't know what invitational cards are, they're cards that were designed by winners. They used to do it in a way where Wizards said, if you win this tournament, we'll let you design a Magic card, right? So one of those designed cards will be coming back. It's probably not going to be Dark Confidant or Snapcaster, right? This also really depends on what Rosewater considers to be more powerful. Dark Confidant is arguably more powerful than Snapcaster, so it might be Snapcaster, but it's most likely going to be Solemn Simulacrum, right? Because that's something we've seen them reprint a bunch of times. It's not too powerful, it feels really good, and it's something that beginners are going to understand. So that's my guess for that one. Then we've got counters in the set. +1/+1, bait counters, fellowship counters, incubation, loyalty, revival, soul, stash, and stun. So a wide range of counters. Bait and fellowship seem like the most interesting to me out of those, right? Then we've got a card that's in the top 10 cards that Rosewater Signs gets reprinted. I have no concept of what that could be. Marrow is a card literally named after him, so I'm just going to throw that out as my guess, because other than that, the only other card I can think of that people ask him to sign is, look at me, I'm the DCI, and that card is literally a silver bordered card that there is no chance will be in Foundations, like no chance on this earth. After that, we've got more deciduous mechanics get used in this set than any previous non-time spiral block premier set. So that means we're going to have a crazy array of mechanics. And deciduous mechanics, okay, we talked about what evergreen are. These are the ones you see all the time. Deciduous are ones that you see in particular sets. We're using it in this world, but we're not going to use it in another world, right? So we're going to see a huge range of mechanics, which is pretty exciting to me. Time Spiral did have an insane amount of stuff, though. So I can see why he had to clarify it won't be like that. Now we've got rules text that's going to show up on cards. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each cat you control. We've seen multiple cats for this set as well. A Johnny literally leans into that concept. Target instant or sorcery card in your graveyard gains flashback until end of turn. So flashback means you can cast it out of your graveyard for its casting cost. Ultimately, well, it might specify its flashback cost is something different. So we'll have to see. Creatures you control get +10, +10. Man, do I love big dumb effects like that boost your guys into ultra beefy territory. So what's that going to be? Is it going to be something like Beastmaster's Ascension, where it's an enchantment where you have to build up to it, but all your guys get +7, +7? Or is it going to be some instant or sorcery you can play where all your guys get +10, +10 until end of turn? Who knows? But it's exciting. Then we've got a deck can have any number of cards. So another card that lets you play any number of the card. I wouldn't be surprised if it was something like there's the one for the dragons. There's the one for the dragon deck. I feel like it's going to be the red one, but I could be wrong about that. It might technically be something new. Half the set is reprints, half of it is new cards, right? Then you've got, exile all other nightmare tokens you control. So we might be getting something like Nightmare Shepherd back, who makes nightmare copies of your creatures. And then when they go, you lose the tokens. So that might be what's going down. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a token that's a copy of this creature. That sounds like it's going to be multiplicity insanity. So basically, if you make a copy of the creature, it's also going to have that ability that says make a copy of it when you draw your second card. So each turn, you're going to be able to double these guys, which is a lot of fun, but causes big problems for Arena. Arena has some genuine issues when you make too many things. Like if you have too many scoots and there's hundreds and hundreds of them, it gets to the point where literally you can have so many copies on the board that it hoses your opponent and times them out because the game's waiting for them to respond, but then Arena gets out of sync, so it's not telling them, it's waiting for a response. So you're just sitting there going, wait, why can't I do anything? And you have to like reboot your client, even though you're not the one generating all the tokens. It's totally wild. So we'll see how that plays out. Then we've got double the number of each kind of counter. That's a feel-good ability. Double the counters on all of, I assume, target permanent, right? The next ability is you may pay black rather than pay the spell's mana cost if there are 13 or more creatures on the battlefield. So that's going to have some kind of unlucky vibe. 13 creatures on the battlefield is a lot. That is a lot, but it reduces the cost of a spell to 1 black. So I don't know. It's got me curious. Then it's got draw a card for each different mana value among non-land permanents you control. So that could be considerable card draw, but spells like this usually cost some ridiculous amount of mana, 5 or 6, and don't really make much of a difference. Then we've got some creature type lines from the set. So there's going to be a Rabbit Noble, a Demon Warlock, a Shark Pirate, the Eldrazi. Oh, there's going to be Eldrazi in here. Somehow I missed that when I read through this before. Hyena Rogue, that's an interesting one. Spider Spirit, that's probably Vivian creating that. Elemental Hydra, that's a really cool concept. A Hydra that is also an elemental. So what type of elemental? A thorn elemental? A fire elemental? An earth elemental? You got a lot of options. A bear demon? Bears are scary. Demons are scary. Put them together and what do you get? I'm gonna run away. Okay. That's bibbity bobbity boo, isn't it? Wow. Okay. My brain's turned into spaghetti. Then we've got Phyrexian Construct. Zombie Warlock is the last creature type. And then some names in the set. Bolt Wave. Electro Duplicate. That screams blue-red. Fishing Pole. That's probably what uses bait counters. Maybe it's got bait counters and it'll help you get fish tokens or maybe draw cards. Goblin Negotiation. That'll be some red goofiness for sure. Heir Apparent. That's got to be the Rabbit Noble that we saw from the creature type list. Homunculus Horde. Oh, I wonder if Fibblethip's hidden in there. A Midnight Snack. A Perforating Artist. Oh, that sounds black, right? Refute and Stab. Okay, well that's, normally they save the short names for really special cards. So that is a ton of information about Foundations, and I have to say that I am genuinely excited about the potential that Foundations brings to the game, because it's been years since we've had a core set. It's been a long time since we've had an easy on-ramp to one-on-one Magic the Gathering for people to ease in a way that's not Commander. I literally saw a post yesterday from an elderly individual who said, yo, I want to get into Magic the Gathering. Is this a game that two people can play? Because Commander has become such a big thing and smeared itself over every aspect of Magic that people don't even know it can be played one-on-one. And without sets like Foundations, when you went into the game store, unless they had the newest starter kit, like a Bloomburrow starter kit, there was virtually no products that weren't Commander, and most sets didn't even have those starter decks at all. So this is something that's meant to stick around in Standard for 5 years, which is very strange. We'll see how that plays out. But ultimately, I am happy to see that Wizards of the Coast is moving in the right direction with Magic the Gathering, returning to the basics of having a core set that introduces the concepts. On top of that, they're doing special events that are designed to onboard people into Magic the Gathering, teach them how to build decks and stuff like that. So that is something they're doing for the longevity of the game, and it doesn't feel like short-term get the money nonsense, which is very, very heartening. Now, let's talk about the Duskmourn digital problems that are going on, because this specifically has to do with Arena. Duskmourn is having multiple issues, and they both have to do specifically with the Mastery Pass. So the Mastery Pass, if you don't know, is this bonus item that you can purchase for roughly the equivalent of about 20 American dollars. And most of the time, it's fine. There aren't problems with it. It allows you to reap more rewards as you play. So every time you level up, get 1,000 experience, you get another reward on the chain, right? But right now they've got a situation where it's literally not rewarding people for leveling up. The Mastery Pass is not paying out. And there's a bigger problem with the Mastery Pass that's based on the fact that Wizards of the Coast has accelerated the pace of releases too much, right? So we're getting a new set every 7 weeks. So the amount of time you have to finish the Duskmourn actual Mastery Pass, you don't have enough days. You don't have enough time. And I know this for a fact, not just because a bunch of people are talking about it, because it's my personal experience as well. I've been playing Arena every day for this entire year. I've had my Arena account since the open beta, right? So I've been playing Arena for a long time, and I have taken breaks here or there, but I've been playing all year, and I've finished every Mastery Pass. I did not buy the Duskmourn Mastery Pass. I'm a free-to-play player, so I build up gems through draft and then use my gems to get the Mastery Pass, so I don't put money into it, but that's still considered buying it, right? So I didn't buy the Duskmourn Pass because I had strong reservations about whether it would be finishable. And looking at the time frame, there aren't enough days left to reasonably finish this pass, even if you play every day and get multiple wins a day. So they've gotten to the point where they're pushing so much stuff out that it's impossible to keep up. So you can't finish the pass, and it's not paying out rewards. And this is happening because Wizards of the Coast is in a mad dash to put products out. Foundations was never meant to come out this year. I'm glad Foundations exists, but it's causing genuine problems. It's the reason for the pushed production schedule. The Duskmourn Mastery Pass actually ends with a Christmas-themed beast, a merry beast who has Christmas ornaments in his horns. So, or Christmas lights, I should say. So when you basically get it, it was supposed to be way closer to Christmas. Duskmourn was supposed to finish out the year, but now Foundations has been shoved in there, which truncated Bloomburrow's season, which is an absolute travesty because Bloomburrow is the most banger set of the year, and it's also cut the legs out from under Duskmourn. So if Wizards of the Coast keeps this up, it's going to compound the problems. The Arena programmers now have an entire extra set to deal with. They have to build an entire extra Mastery Pass. All of these other things, they may benefit a little because half of the set is reprint. So there may be some of the cards that are already coded into Arena. But either way, their workload is super heavy. Now, I just want to remind you once again, I do have a brand new movie review channel, and I would love if you go and check it out because I'm trying to grow that channel. It's only teeny weeny, and I need at least 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time to get it into the YouTube Partner Program, which gets the channel a lot more love overall, right? So that's the goal. If you can head over there, I would love it. Now, speaking of the live stream that I'm going to do tonight, we've got fan mail to open. We've got Plinko with Grand Archive. If you haven't seen Grand Archive, come and check it out. And for an extra bit of laughs, we've got some random street taco potato chips that I'm going to try out as well. So that wraps up the video. Thanks for coming and hanging out. Head on over, check out the movie review channel. Come hang out in my live stream tonight. And a big thank you to my patrons for supporting my channel. You guys rule to the extreme. I rock the mic like a vandal. Okay, we're going with old Vanilla Ice now. My brain, it's literally turning to mush, so I better get out of here. I'll see you guys in the next video.